All right, we'll begin this meeting with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on then into the consensus agenda. So I move that we approve the vouchers that were paid last month in the amount of $471,044.09 plus 2 payrolls in the amount of $384,804. That's a grand total of $855,848.09. Along with that, I move that we approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting.
I have a second.
All right, it's been moved by Steve and seconded by Ken that we approve the consensus agenda items as presented. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? 4-0. Orion, do we have any patron comments?
Not the moment, but I will make one myself.
Ah.
I guess steal Jeremy's thunder for probably.
Ooh.
Steals everyone else's thunder anyway.
I'd like to thank the athletic department and Mr. Yarborough, Mr. McCann, Mrs. Davis, and Mrs. Lindsay, and Mr. Gephardt, and all the support staff for once again putting on an exceptional boys basketball sectional and regional this past 2 weeks. And I'd also like to thank Lemon Oil for supporting TTSN's broadcast by making a financial contribution to the athletic department.
So noted. I think hosting a regional is really a neat opportunity. You know, at sectional time, we're typically hosting schools that are familiar with our facilities, but regional time, that's a time to showcase.
Great opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we'd be remiss, Orion, if we didn't thank your crew, Triton Sports Network, always a class act. And I think when people walk in, they see just the array of equipment and the quality of job you guys do. There's a reason people want to be like you guys. It's because you do an awesome job. So I just want to extend that kudos to you as well. So thank you.
All right, moving on into personnel. Jeremy, you want to lead us through that?
Absolutely. So I'd recommend Gayla, Lemler as a substitute bus driver.
Move to make that approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes, that we approve Gayla Lemler as substitute bus driver. Questions, comments? If not, all in favor? 4-0.
I think it's important while talking about bus drivers that just like a lot of corporations that are out there, we're definitely interested in hiring those individuals that are interested in transporting our kiddos to and from school safely. So I want to thank Gayla for her enthusiasm and want to do that. So the next item up, I'd like to approve the resignation of Nancy Miller as high school custodian as of 3/18.
You approve that resignation?
I'll second it. Are you allowed to? I assume you're allowed to.
We're going to let him. It's been moved by Steve and seconded by Ken that we approve the resignation of Nancy Miller as high school custodian. Are there questions or comments? If-
She will be missed. I know that.
Yeah.
Kids like her. Everybody likes her.
All in favor? 4-0.
So I think it's also important to say we are looking for a good custodian. And just to point out what Mr. Redinger was just saying about Nancy, I just appreciate her heart for not only keeping our building clean, keeping things looking nice, but just her love for our kids and our staff and the little things she did behind the scenes that a lot of people didn't see. I often would catch her in the TAC just singing away as she kind of swept down the tack floor, and I just always appreciated the joy that she brought to that position. So
Games with that lady.
yeah. So it reminds me a lot of Todd Gongwer's book, and Nancy and I have had many conversations about Lead for God's Sake, and just the fact is her purpose was bigger than her position and her passion. So I do appreciate her. We're going to miss her greatly. So I'm going to lump the next few here because they are talking about coaching positions. So I'd recommend the approval of Emily Nifong as varsity girls tennis coach, John Gardner as the boys volunteer varsity golf coach, and Darren Harrell as the volunteer boys varsity golf coach.
Are boys volunteer varsity golf coach and volunteer boys varsity golf coach the same thing?
They would be both volunteer boys varsity golf coaches. Yes.
Okay.
I move we approve all these coaches.
I second that.
It's been moved by Ken, seconded by Wes, that we approve the 3 coaching positions as recommended. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor? 4-0.
I would like to approve, or excuse me, I would like for you to approve. I would like to recommend the approval of the first reading of the corporation policies. There are a lot of updates that took place. I believe that was shared with the board if you needed to do some rainy day reading. A lot of those are updated. A lot of them were just corrections, but there were definitely some that with policies and legislation have changed as well. So I'd recommend the approval of that first reading.
Those policies as presented.
Second.
Been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes, that we approve the first reading of the corporation policies that were provided, and then as listed there. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? 4-0.
I'd recommend the approval of the items for the FFA auction that will be coming up here the week after the spring break. And some of the items, obviously there's always a lot of items that will be done virtually. Once again, that will be a bid virtually. And then a lot of our weight room racks and those type of things will be added to that. So that's something that's likely new. That will be on the bill of sale. We have pictures of that, but it's going to be another great sale. So thanks to our FFA, Mrs. Leeper, for leading that charge.
I move we approve that list.
Second it.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken, that we approve the items for this year's FFA auction. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor? And that passes 4-0.
I'd like to recommend the approval of the high school classroom ceiling tile replacement project. As you're aware, that has been done in stages. We would like to offer that bid to S&K Construction for the lowest bid. They're also the ones that did the last time. So I'd recommend that we approve the ceiling tile replacement project.
I have a question. It's been the last 2 years, summers for sure. Is this just number 3, or is this going to finish it up? Do you know?
So we've done the hallways.
Right.
We're in the midst of the classrooms that are needed. I don't know that we're to the end of that. I think we still have plenty of classrooms remaining to continue that project. Yeah. To be how many, I'll be more than happy to get that information for you. But yeah.
Because we're all done, and then they started the classrooms.
First year was the cafeteria and the skylights, I believe. Mm-hmm. Second year was hallways, and this will be the first year of actual classrooms, and
okay.
It's definitely not all of them.
Okay.
I move we approve the ceiling tile replacement
I'll
project.
second it.
It's been moved by Wes, seconded by Ken, that we approve the high school classroom ceiling tile replacement project. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Passes 4-0.
I recommend the approval of the purchase of 255 Chromebooks. Once again, these are just replacing Chromebooks that have been cycled out. So 255 is approximately the number that we will purchase each year to make sure that we are updating those and that we're getting new ones for those students that are coming into to 3rd grade and 7th grade and so on. So.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Wes, that we approve the purchase of 255 Chromebooks. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Passes 4-0.
I think it is important, what we've faced the last 2 years. Obviously, we were very hesitant as a corporation to put Chromebooks in the hands of every one of our kids. We have moved slower than most corporations on that, wanting to do it a little bit different and not making that the focus of our instruction. But obviously, over the last 2 years and some of the issues we've had with quarantines and layoffs and stuff like that, those have definitely come in handy. So obviously, internet and accessibility is always a concern for us, but in the end, they did have devices to be able to take home and continue their education as much as possible. So I want to thank the board and the vision of all those that came before us to make sure that that was ready and prepared. So thank you for that. I recommend the approval of the fencing quote. We are looking right now to replace the southmost edge of our property, that fence that goes along there where they're currently putting in the new lift station. We have coordinated with the town to they're going to be using the same type of fence around the lift station, so it looks as if we work together to fence all of that. So that's where we're going to start, the most south part of the campus. Then we will work forward with the fence that's along the pavilion and so on. So the first phase of that is the southernmost portion of campus.
Move we approve that fencing quote.
I'll second that. It's been moved by Ken and seconded by Steve that we approve the fencing quote for the south boundary of the school facilities. Other questions or comments?
I do have a question. Driving by there tonight on my way here, I noticed that it looks like they're getting closer to being done. Yet the parking lot looks a mess.
Yeah, so we've been assured by the town that that will look better than what they found it. So Ward Byers and I have been in conversation about that. They will stone that. They'll be bringing in a lot of stone to recover that and make that look as nice as possible. We've also ordered to replace the curbs that are FFA or Ag class had done a few years back, and those were kind of broken, and they served the purpose to try to get everybody going the right direction. We have purchased some rubber parking stoppers, bumpers. We have purchased some rubber ones to once again put down and clean that up. So I have been assured that that would be most likely done by the 1st of April when the soccer practices and baseball, Little League baseball and all that stuff starts. So yeah, that's definitely something that they've reported out on. Yep.
Thank you. All those in favor? Passes 4-0.
Last but not least, I'd like to recommend the flexibility waiver. This is the waiver that we've requested, I believe, going on 4 years now, to allow us a little bit of flexibility when it comes to, instead of 180 days, we can actually utilize our instructional minutes as our accountability measure. So this will allow for, if we would have cancellations or those type of things, to base that on minutes instead of days. But also, I think, being a little bit more strategic this year, knowing that legislation just came out to say we can only use 3 digital learning days throughout the entire year without a request from the Department of Education. We would love to have this flexibility for not only those cancellation days, but also a little bit more intentional professional development throughout the year, possibly even quarterly digital learning days, to where we can really engage with our staff on items that are needed, not just at the beginning of the year and not just right after Christmas break. So you've seen the write-up. There will be a more detailed message when we send that to the State Department of Education for their approval.
I move we approve the flexibility waiver.
Second. It's been moved by Ken, seconded by Steve, that we approve the flexibility waiver. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Passes 4-0. We're moving on then to superintendent's report.
All right, so sticking with core values, just continuous improvement. On March 3rd, our strategic planning committee met, which was last couple Thursdays ago, to talk about our 5-year strategic plan. The areas of focus that will be flushed out, the 3 focus areas will be encourage student and academic success. This will be very similar to what we're used to when we talk about measures that are used to inform instruction and continue to meet state and local standards. Foster social and emotional support. There are more needs now in the classroom than probably there has ever been. So things may come out of this that will just be a little bit more proactive when it comes to dealing with our social and emotional support of our students and making sure that we're trying to meet them where they're at and continue to help them grow. Invest in teacher and staff success. Once again, this is how can we support our teachers? How can we support our staff? When it comes to, I was just talking a little bit about professional development, how can we meet those needs to make sure they're prepared for those students that are coming into their classroom, and or making sure that they're feeling a sense of purpose and a sense of accomplishment as they continue to be professionals in their classroom. So those will be our 3 areas. With that will come strategies, some tactics on how we will meet those needs, and I will tell you board members were part of that, parents were part of that, administrators, counselors, and we had a student that was part of that process as well. So a lot of discussions, a lot of information gleaned from the surveys that were given and interviews that were done by InFocus. And I want to thank Megan and Jeremy for their efforts on that as well. Shared leadership, we're in the process of looking at the 2023 bond. We've talked now for a couple years on the next bond will be really focused on secure entrances and making sure that when somebody walks into our buildings, we're able to have line of sight and we're able to engage with them before they have access to our entire building. With our high school 1968 construction, a lot of things have changed since then when it comes to secure entrances. So right now we have buzz-ins, we have all of those things that we could make adaptations to our building right now, but we will make that a lot more secure, so I'm looking forward to that. The Triton High School Athletic Department also did a wonderful job with the latest Hall of Fame. Orion already talked a little bit about the sectionals and regionals, but the Hall of Fame was a nice success as well. So just a great evening to just recognize those that have made a huge impact, whether that be through athletics or through their service. Social responsibility, talking about preschool, so greeting the youngest students into our buildings over the next couple weeks. So April 13th, preschool registration, or excuse me, roundup will take place.
Well, preschool registration is 13th.
Registration, okay. And then kindergarten roundup will be April 5th, and I know Christine will talk more about that, but just trying to be good partners with our community. We talk about 3 points of contact, trying to get them in touch with our school, our teachers, our administrators, and just try to do that 3 times before they come on that first day of school is the purpose there. So I just want to thank all the time and effort that's going to be put into that. I'm sure Christine has more on that. Accountability, I think the last time we talked, we were really concerned about House Bill 1134 and kind of the toxic environment that was creating. I'm happy to announce that was defeated and died in the Senate. So if we dig into current legislation, I actually shared that with our board and our staff today, just to read through some of those things. I would say by and large, those ruled in the favor of education, which was a welcome sight after especially the shock of some of those bills as they became known. I did mention the e-learning days are limited for next year, and that's something we'll continue to monitor, which is why we also did our instructional waiver, which we've already discussed. High expectations over the last few months. Superintendents in Marshall County and Stark County have worked really hard to hire a Career and Technical Education Executive Director, and I'm excited to announce today at our board meeting that we hired Jen Felke to be the next director of the NCVAC. So we're pretty excited about that. We were also able to lock down a candidate for LLN, which is Lifelong Learning Network. That will be announced on Wednesday with a press release, but we're giving them the respect right now of just talking to their colleagues and just making all of them aware. So we'll make that announcement on Wednesday, but super excited about that hire as well. The need for them to work together is going to be paramount for our students in working in the career and technical ed or the work-based learning and internships. So that's going to be a welcome change, and we're looking forward to the opportunities that that's going to bring. Talking about alignment, I want to congratulate and thank our coaches as we come to the end of our winter season. I mentioned a lot of those in my message today to our staff. We had wrestlers go to semi-state, thriving in the numbers in junior high when it comes to wrestling. Basketball winning sectionals and participating in regionals, successful Hall of Fame banquet. Band and choir members receiving gold ratings with distinction, designations, and state awards. Robotics have had success and continue to compete at a high level. Cheerleading, we have some collegiate signees and competition wins. DECA represented us at state just 2 weeks ago. Successful FFA week, strawberry sales, and upcoming consignment auction, and the list goes on. We have a lot to be thankful for. We have a lot to be proud of, but definitely doesn't minimize our need for continuous improvement, and we're dedicated to that. So I believe that's all I have for that. I do want to remind our board, I do want to remind our public, April 15th will remain a vacation day as stated on our calendar. Once again, flexibility waiver comes into that conversation, and that will remain a vacation day for our staff and our students. So that's Good Friday. So, and then also ISBA, the regional meeting.
That's on Thursday night.
Yeah, I noticed the 28th.
I don't remember it ever being on
Yeah, I'm not
Thursday
sure
night.
why that is, other than I noticed they flip-flopped when they came last time. I don't know if that's normal, but yeah, I noticed that as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. But, so, okay.
For Mr. Riffle. Any patrons' comments?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
But I will say, oops,
you had your turn.
well, he didn't mention it. So
You can do it again. You did-
I don't think he said the date of the FFA sale, did you? It's, well, it's online only, and it starts on April 13th. Or no, it ends on April 13th. And that if you still want to consign, you can consign by April 7th. 7th. You got to consign by this April 7th, and then the auction, I don't know that it says when it starts, but it starts soon after that, and then it ends on April 13th with timed, it goes off time-wise. So the low lot numbers start going off first, and then it works their way up.
The items tonight, so those will be pictured and start to be uploaded here in the next couple weeks. So.
Okay, we're ready to move on.
Yep.
Building reports, we'll start with the high school, Mr. McCann, try not to steal any of Mrs. Cook's thunder.
Do my best. All right, just some updates for the high school. I think the last time I mentioned that we had given the ASVAB test back in February. Wanted to bring that back up because we did get results from that. And I think that's important because that will be just one of those items that we look at as kids prepare for graduation. That will be the path for some of our kids to graduate. So we did have students that had success there. And as they go from junior to senior year, by passing that frees up some opportunities for them to do some other things their senior year. So that was exciting news to hear for some of those kids. We also gave the SAT on March 2nd, and that has now become our new graduation exam. So, we're trying to feel our way through all those logistics and making sure that test is taken seriously. And I felt like our kids really did take the opportunity to do their best. And I hope the results show that, and we'll wait for those results. So, but good job to the students on taking that seriously, and also thanks to our counselors, Ashley and Sarah, for seeing that through. A little bit of a scheduling update. So at this point, we have had a chance to meet with all 6th graders through current juniors and scheduling them for next year. So we're well on our way with getting our students scheduled. We are currently building our master schedule for next year, so we're really ironing out who's teaching what and how many sections we're going to have of different things. And our goal is by early May to have a master schedule for next year, which will be really nice to be able to sit down and talk with every student and figure out, are there any changes they want to make before next year, but also showing it to staff members for them to ask questions about what they're going to be asked to do next year as well. So, and we're making a real push this year for just looking at next year and years beyond as just really getting our juniors and seniors involved in our vocational programs, the CTE classes that we have offered in our area. We're very fortunate to have the programs that we do, but then also just trying to build up our internship program. So we have a lot of people in our community and surrounding communities that are looking for, you know, the next generation of employees, and we have a lot of great students to offer our community. So we're trying to give them opportunities in businesses and internship programs while they're still in high school. Just a few other things here. Mr. Riff will notice, or we had a student that competed at the state level for DECA. So Nathan Schwartz went down to Indianapolis with Tracy Nisley and competed at our DECA contest. We did have jazz band competed at an ISMA contest at Kokomo and got a gold rating. Trojan singers competed. This is the first competition I know that they've had in quite some time. So they've kind of revitalized that program, and we're excited about that. And they received a silver rating at their first contest. Junior high band and choir competed at Knox Middle School this last weekend, both receiving gold ratings, and the band did receive the with distinction award. So congratulations to those groups. It's also been noted a few times tonight, but I want to make sure I do it as well. The last month or so has been very busy, especially at the junior senior high school. And with the Hall of Fame banquet, this is my first year really getting to experience that. And that was a great program. So really excited that I got to see that this year. Hosting sectionals, that was a lot of fun, a lot of work. Hosting regionals, just as much work. And I guess I just want to thank everybody included. I'm not going to go through and name names because I will forget someone, and that's dangerous. But there's just so many people that came together and made those 3 different events successful. I do want to point out Marcia Lindsay and Mindy Davis. They spent a lot of time, energy into those programs, and just really appreciate that. And just want to thank Mr. Yarbrough, Rick Yarbrough, for his leadership and seeing that through. A lot to take on for your first year, and I think did a great job, and I just want him to know that. So short of that, that's what I've got at the junior senior high school, unless you guys have questions.
You're right, you didn't take anything. I'm good. Okay. Let's see. Last week, our 4th through 6th graders got a little education at the bowling alley. I think they practiced just as much consumerism as they did athleticism at the snack bar and so forth. But they did that was a culminating activity for PE. We've also finished up in 3rd grade with iRead 3 administration, although we finished 2 makeups today, and we have 1 left to make up. We're praying that person is going to be still well and healthy. We have a lot of illness going around right now, so we hope that person can take it. If not, they have another chance in June that it can be taken at that point. And I think our students really gave a really strong effort, and I appreciate everybody who's worked with the to prepare for that and administer that test for those kids. It's a tough thing for 3rd graders. It's their first experience with really a high stakes test, and some of them are super nervous about it, but no more nervous than their parents are. So we think they really gave it good effort, and the teachers prepared them well. Hopefully we should get results when we come back from spring break. We also did high ability testing at grades kindergarten, 2nd, and 5th. Those are for all students all students in the grade, and we give an aptitude test. And so we'll get results of that when we get back from break as well. Appreciate the teachers for administering that, and then also Melissa LaSure for making sure that all gets training and get those turned in. Pretty excited. This week, Wednesday, we have another enrichment opportunity for our high ability students. They're going to be out of class for the afternoon, and we have Mrs. Gard and Mrs. Shively who are going to be teaching them some coding, and they'll be able to, with the Spiro balls, if you've never seen them, they're like little round spherical robots kind of thing, and they can code them to do different things. So we're hoping that they're going to have fun doing that and learn some new things. Also, we'll have this week area preschools. We'll be visiting our kindergarten classrooms. Tomorrow we have Little Lambs, and then our own Triton preschoolers will be in classrooms. And then also Thursday we have the other two, Kids Kingdom and Kids Country preschools coming in. After break, we will be having Roundup. I'm sorry, that really is actually 30, that will total 30 students, preschoolers, plus our own 20. So that's about 50 kids that we'll be seeing in that, or will be potential kindergarten students this next year. Also after break on April 5th, as Mr. Riffle said, we will be having kindergarten roundup. We are continuing the pattern that we've had for the last 2 years, and that is by doing an open house. We used to have a big meeting. We invited kids in. Parents had the big meeting while the kids went around and did some things. And everybody was in and out in about an hour and a half. We actually switched because of COVID and went to an open house model when we did registration in 2020 in the spring, or we actually did it in June. It actually went quite well, and we found that parents are more likely to ask questions of their individual kids, the questions that they want, when they can come and go as they please. They can talk to the nurse, or they can talk to the secretary, they can talk to the principal. They get to meet the teachers, and the teachers found that they also got to connect better with the families, because when you're preparing a big meeting, you don't really get to connect individually. And we felt like in this way that we did, and it was a better service really to the public. We also got to see kids individually, one at a time, because usually they didn't really get to see the kids, the teachers didn't. And this way they got to interact with the potential kindergartners as they came in, and it just seemed a more relaxed atmosphere, and one where we felt like we could get the information out that we needed to. So we are keeping that format again. It's a 3-hour window, so they have the 3 hours to come in and go as they please. They also get to visit the classrooms, and Laura Baker will have a bus there, so if this is their first time on a bus, they can at least get on a bus, talk to a bus driver, and so forth. So trying to provide the whole experience. And then the following week, we'll have our preschool registration. That'll also be an open house format, 4 to 6, but then once we actually start, we'll have a regular parent orientation as well for everybody who's actually in it at one time, and that will happen in late July or early August. And also, we have plans underway for lots of spring activities. iLearn coming up, as well as study trips and field day. We're also organizing for our summer reading and math programming. That will be 3 weeks in June. We have staff lined up to do that, and I'll be sending those employment recommendations over pretty soon here in April. Any questions?
Items.
Yes, I do have a
Under
couple
other?
others here. These are pre-approved items. These were already discussed. It's just a matter of letting the board know that the high school courtyard masonry project is scheduled for the summer of 2022. And pre-approved, the elementary outside power washing project is scheduled for spring break of 2022 as well. So.
Courtyard?
So that's it's like the tuck pointing.
Okay.
So
what's-
masonry, like they have done. If you remember, they did that on the outside this fall. So they'll be doing some of the same stuff in there, just tuck pointing, making sure that grout and stuff is filled in. Also, I do have the school services agreement for the crossing for some of our students. That is something on the other category. We used their services last year as well, and that agreement came. So as to make sure we get that to them, I went ahead and added that to the other piece of tonight. So it's just a matter of knowing that we agree to the possibility of sending kids there if deemed necessary. Yes, I would recommend the approval of the school services agreement with the crossing.
We approve the school services agreement with crossing, so we can use that as necessary.
Second.
It's been moved by Steve, seconded by Ken, that we approve the school services agreement with Crossing. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor? Passes 4-0. Is there any other business to be brought before the board this evening? If not, we are adjourned at 7:39.